We cannot actively relax. You cannot actively relax your muscle. It's just doing less and less and less. So I cannot tell someone, relax. Yes, I can tell it, but they cannot do it. Hi, and welcome to Lead Well. Welcome to this solo episode. I have something I need to share with you. You might have seen episode 66 with Alison Mayer as my guest when we talked about Hanna Somatics and also Equine Hanna Somatics. And you might ask, well, if you haven't listened to it, what is that? I will tell you in a minute because I just went through a week-long course with Alison and it was the most profound thing I have experienced in my life. Yes, probably I can say that. Things have happened that I've never experienced before in that short time frame. So let me start at the beginning. What is this somatics all about? The idea is that whenever we have some muscle tension that we want to get rid of because it actually hurts or we can't move as we want to, then this Hanna Somatics is a wonderful method to get rid of those additional tensions and to really soften our muscles, soften our posture, reinvent, I would almost say, our posture so that we can feel much more subtle and much more relaxed. And Equine Hanna Somatics is exactly that when we're working with the horses. And by the way, also Canine Hanna Somatics. I've done that course as well because I'm so excited. So we do that with dogs as well. The way it happens, we're not working on the animal, we're working with the animal. We're inviting them to move. The secret is not in the movement itself, but in letting go of the muscle tension. And I'll tell you in a minute what I learned from that and why I found it so exciting. I have learned quite a lot about muscles as well, and probably also remembered things about muscles because I went through the education for what we call in Germany a Heilpraktiker 20 years ago, and I got certified with that. So when a muscle contracts, it's because they get a signal from what is called the motor cortex. So that's a voluntary movement. We contract the muscles because our brain says so. There is no way a muscle can contract but without that signal. And the muscle can only release when it's doing less, when it's getting less or no more signals from the brain. But when you turn your hand into a fist and you keep it like that, initially it's really hard and it requires some force to do it, some power to do it. But if you keep it like that, your brain actually gets used to it and your muscle is still contracted. And this is what happens in our bodies, especially when we're stressed out. And we have already talked a lot about stress response and how the sympathetic nervous system works and kicks in when we feel under stress, which nowadays is almost always the case because not the tiger that's coming around the corner is putting us into a stressed out situation, but the email that arrives, the signal that we hear that announces a new email, that is already enough to put us into a stress response. And this is why most of us, including our animals, are in a state where we keep too much tension in our body, much too much tension in our muscles. And it's good to say, well, slow down, relax, release your muscle tension when you can be aware of it. But if you have been used to it for so long, you're no longer aware. And so your brain can't let those muscles go anymore. And that's where these somatic exercises kick in because we invite the muscle to move. And then by slowly let it move back, the brain resets to a new normal or to the normal that we would have. And as I said, we're doing that with the animals as well. So now we're not moving there relax their limbs, we are inviting them to pick up their limbs, for example, for the horses. And it's amazing how quickly they understand what we expect them to do and the way they work with us. So it was really interesting to see how Maggie, my mare, responded to that. But even more so, I was simply amazed because we did some somatic movements ourselves to experience what it feels like and also to be more relaxed, more settled, and more straightened when we worked with our animals. And I can tell you, I am a person, I actually stand up to do that, put my chair away, because usually when I stand, I put the weight on one foot. And so I would put my weight on either the left or usually the right foot. And I would stand like that instead of straight. Now, day 4, a magical thing happened for me. My body or my brain or the body-mind connection no longer allowed me to stand on one leg only. Whenever I did that out of habit, like waiting at the cashier, my body immediately put me back into standing on my both feet. And I felt this was so amazing because it was 4 days of exercising and not like hours and hours. We had half an hour to an hour of those somatic exercises every day, somatic movements every day. Now, this was so profound for me. And then there is another thing that happened. And I have told you several times by now that I used to be bulimic when I was a young adult. And the effect of that is that I usually do not notice when I'm full, when I have eaten enough. So I can eat and eat and eat. And then my brain needs to tell me, Christine, I think you have eaten enough because look at all the things on the list that is already in your stomach. So I guess probably it's enough. And again, on day 4 was the magic day for me. I suddenly had this feeling of, wow, I'm pretty full. I don't want any more food. And it has stayed since then. So it's really amazing. I'm so amazed that I will definitely go on the education for humans as well because I'm bought in now. And I'm definitely putting more time into working with animals and dogs and horses. And actually, we can do it with any animal. And this is the great thing because you know me talking about the trust technique and how much I love that working with a mindfulness approach with animals where we listen to the animals, where we get into a state of inner calm and inner peace to invite the animal to join us. And isn't it interesting and isn't it fascinating that somatics, Hanna Somatics, should I say, does exactly that? We invite the other being to join in, to do this movement with us for themselves, because their brain will resettle, their brain will reset, their motor cortex will readjust. So it's the exact same approach, the exact same idea, just from a different angle, because with the trust technique, we start with the mind. In Hanna Somatics, we start with the muscles. And so I'm completely blown away, and I wanted to share that with you. And I have a few insights I want to share with you as well, because as I said, I'm almost blown away, to be honest. So this is something we can translate into everything. We cannot actively relax. You cannot actively relax your muscle. It's just doing less and less and less. So I cannot tell someone, relax. Yes, I can tell it, but they cannot do it. But I can focus on myself and others, people in my team, for example, to do less and less and less. And this is what brings the relaxation. And I want and will invite others to move so that they have the experience. And I will, going forward, even more so, invite others to do some work, to work on projects, to delegate, because that will help them to build experience, build new brain structures, and progress. And progress is only possible when we're calm. It's not possible when we're asleep, and it's not possible when we're in a panic state. We need to be in a state where we are fully awake, but ready to listen to ourselves, to our ideas, to ideas from others, so that we can then act on them. So having the ability to create this feeling of inner calm and inner peace is really crucial. Not only in the trust technique, not only in Hanna Somatics or Equine Hanna Somatics, but I believe whenever I want to learn something, whenever I want to generate new ideas, I want to be creative, I want to be able to create this state of inner peace within myself. And you know myself, if you want to get some help with that, just reach out to me and we'll work on that. We'll get it done. And communication is key, because with horses, you can be sure if they're not doing what you want them to do, it's either they can't or they just don't get what you want from them. So this is where they are such great teachers, because we need to improve our communication. And I think this is also something that we can translate to people and to working with teams, for example. If they're not doing what we expect them to do in so many cases, and I have found that in so many conversations with my clients, the recipient of the information just didn't get it. I often say you have to speak in a way that the other person can create an image in their mind. They can create a picture of what you want them to do. And with animals, it's exactly the same. We can't think in pictures with them, and be it telepathy or not, I don't know, but it usually works. And from the experience with my own posture, I now know that change is possible, and it doesn't take long. It can be really quick. So this is what I wanted to share with you this week. I invite you to listen to yourselves. When you want to relax, just do less and less and less, and invite others to move, invite others to do the work with you, so that you can also give them the opportunity to grow and progress. Thanks so much for listening. I wish you a wonderful week, and speak soon. Thank you. This was Lead Well. Now, what is the one thing that you're taking away from this episode? Please share in the comments below, and do share the podcast with your friends and family, but only if you like it.